What is up, YouTube family? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, then it's just welcome to my channel. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button because you will not be disappointed unless you know you a hater. Or it could be that you just have bad taste. One of the two. I don't know. I don't know you like that. Today's video is going to be about Heather Mack and her trifling behind. And before we get started, I'm gonna say right after that I'm gonna try to be objective here, but this case irritates the asshole of my soul, and so I'm probably not gonna be all that objective after all. I'm gonna try, but I'm probably not. I'm just saying, we'll see how it goes. Heather Mack was born on October 11th in 1995, making sis a whole Libra out here. I was actually surprised to find that she was a Libra. Honestly, right before I started filming, I went and double checked that. I was like, I don't know if that's right. Let me just make sure. It could be just like, Ed McKemper's case where I was off a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong. But she is, in fact, a Libra. And because you guys don't get too many around here, I'm going to need y'all to hold this L. Heather was born the only child of pretty wealthy parents. Her father was a very famous, very successful jazz player. His name is James Mack. He has children from a previous relationship, but she is the first and only child that the two share, and she is also the only child of her mother, Sheila. From birth, Heather is afforded all of the fine things in life. Sis was spoiled rotten. She got everything that she wanted, everything that she asked for and didn't ask for. The three of them will often take these very lavish family vacations together, oftentimes out of the country. And Heather is extremely close with her father. They have a very tight bond. She is the definition of daddy's girl. She was his little princess. In his eyes, she could do no wrong. He could never say no to her. When Heather is just 10 years old, her father unfortunately is diagnosed with cancer. Things like this make you realize or feel like life is short. And so they decide that they're gonna live it up and travel as much as they can and just make the most out of life. But tragically, during one of these trips to Greece, he dies in the hotel room. And this, of course, devastates Heather. She is traumatized by this. Financially, they are left in good standing. He leaves them with millions. But of course, no amount of money is worth somebody's life. Not when you really love them, I should say. Being as close as Heather was to her father, she, of course, is taking this extremely hard. Not long after the passing of James, Sheila begins to see a change in her daughter, a major shift in her behavior, in a negative direction. She began skipping school. She had a terrible attitude. Heather would oftentimes run away, and Sheila would be looking for her for days. She would have to contact the police and let them know that her child was on the loose and she did not know where she was. And a lot of times she would have run off with like men, grown men. Sis was giving Maury trouble teen tease, okay? I remember them bad kids on Maury. They used to go on there and spit, cuss, and kick their mamas, tell her that they do whatever they want. That's what Heather was giving all of the time. When she would return home and Sheila would try to talk to her about the things that she's doing, things would escalate, and sis was very hostile toward Sheila. She would jump on Sheila, fight her, throw things at her, hit her, and then Sheila would just have to call the police back. Like, okay, y'all found her, but she is over here cutting up. Somebody needs to come back out. The police are called to their residence on numerous occasions for domestic disputes like this. One of these instances actually results in little Heather receiving a battery charge. And when Heather goes to court, Sheila actually shows up and speaks on behalf of her daughter. She states that she believes her to only be acting out because she's suffering the loss of James, who she was so close with, like he was her world, which may have very well been the case. I think that's kind of obvious, but she should not have felt like she could take it out on this poor lady. After this, the relationship between the two does not improve. When she returns home, she continues to lash out at her mother. She would try to fight her, and when Sheila wouldn't fight her back, she would bite her, spit and kick her, and just all of the things, many of which left her body covered in scratches and bruises like all the time. During one of these episodes, Heather actually breaks Sheila's arm. But despite how horrible her child was, Sheila continues to try to mend their relationship and get her daughter the help that she felt that she needed. From her point of view, her daughter was emotionally traumatized and also very likely suffering from mental health issues, and so she didn't want to just abandon her. Even after this, Heather is pretty much just let off with a slap on the wrist. She is sent back home. She is ordered to attend therapy with her mother, which of course she is not open to whatsoever. She just felt like she could do whatever she wanted to do without any kind of repercussions or any kind of interruptions, child. Sheila would often talk to her close friends and her sister about the relationship with her daughter and all of their struggles, and about how no matter what she tried, nothing ever seemed to help. Like, they weren't getting anywhere, and she did not know what else to do. Sheila's sister decides, you know what, I'm gonna try to talk to her. As an auntie, let me come over and talk to my niece and see if I can get through to her. So she sits her down and she tells her about how her actions are not acceptable, and asks if there's anything that she felt like she wasn't getting, or if there was anything she needed. Like, help us help you. What is it that we can do to help you at this point? Because this is a very toxic situation and it just can't continue to go on like this. Talk doesn't help anything, okay? Heather is not trying to hear it, and afterwards nothing changes. She continues to do all of the things that she was doing before, and the two of them only grow further apart. Now, around this time, Heather gets her little boyfriend by the name of Tommy. And once she gets her little piece of man, her attitude gets even worse. Tommy is hanging out at the house all the time. The two have a very codependent relationship. And the thing is, right before he got in this relationship with Heather, Tommy had actually lost his girlfriend months before due to a car crash. So when he got with Heather, he is like extremely close to her, and the two are inseparable. They want to spend all of their time together every day, every night. Anytime that Tommy was at the house with Heather, it's like it just fueled her to act worse. Sis was always showing out in front of him. So of course Sheila is not too thrilled with him being at the house all the time, because she knows when he's there, Heather is just gonna act even worse. Feeling as though she's running out of options, and also fearing that she might be about to lose her daughter altogether, because Heather has now turned 18, and she's like, well, if I couldn't keep her on the leash as a teen and as a child, now that she's a legal adult, she's probably really about to be out of here. She should have seen that as a blessing though, girl. Get out of my house. However, Sheila is desperate to have a positive, healthy relationship with her only child. And so she comes up with an idea that she is confident would have the two bond again, like back in the day when she was, I guess, fresh out of the womb. She decides to take Heather on a good old-fashioned fancy vacation. The lavish vacations they used to take as a family were always a good time. It's like good memories that they share. So she figured reliving that, or like recreating that, might do them some good. Initially, she is not so sure that Heather is going to agree to go, but she presents the idea to her anyway. And surprisingly, Heather is down with all of it. She's like, yes, I would love that. And so Sheila's excited. She goes and books them a trip to Bali, just the two of them, and she spares no expense. The two of them fly out business class, $10,000 per ticket. She books them a nice place to stay over in Bali, and she is super excited. Sheila is looking into all of the things that they could do together. They have no other choice but to have a good time and enjoy each other's company. But unbeknownst to her, Heather has different plans. She had secretly booked her boyfriend Tommy a flight to Bali as well to join them. $12,000 she spends on his ticket. Once they get to Bali, Heather casually mentions that Tommy's on the way. And when Sheila finds this out, she is pissed. But not only is Sheila angry, she's also hurt, because she really genuinely thought her daughter had an interest in going on this trip along with her, and just, you know, them having mother-daughter time and taking a step forward in the right direction. So when she finds out, oh, you just kind of used me, girl, to get over here and have a vacation with your man, like, that's not cool. Her feelings are hurt. Furthermore, he ain't got no Bali money. You ain't got no Bali money. So where y'all get the money from? She finds out that his ticket has been put on a credit card that has been stolen from her. She tells Heather that the need for them to be around each other all the time like this was unhealthy. Like, it's codependent, it's not cute. And the two get into a whole argument about this whole ordeal. And before you know it, Tommy is touching down in Bali. When his flight lands, he does not immediately go to where Heather and Sheila are. It's about 10 hours before he shows up at Heather's hotel room. He is only there for about an hour before he and Heather call a taxi and leave. But when they get to their destination, they get out of the car appearing to have left their luggage behind, a suitcase that they had placed in the trunk. Realizing this, the taxi driver removes it and instantly looks for a luggage tag or anything that had some information on it that could let him know who they are or give him a way to contact them. As soon as he removes the suitcase from the trunk, he notices streaks of blood on the outside of it. He doesn't even open up the suitcase to look inside. He immediately turns over the abandoned luggage to the police station, and when they open it up and take a look inside, they are horrified at what they find. Inside of the suitcase is Sheila, and she has been gutted, folded over, and the top half of her body duct taped to the lower half to force her to fit inside of the suitcase. Police immediately initiate a manhunt to locate these two, and it doesn't take them long to find them at all. They are immediately arrested and taken down to the station. And when Heather is questioned, she tells them a story about a group of men attacking them, and she said that they had kidnapped her mother. She didn't know where her mother was. But honey, Tommy is in the other room spilling all of the tea, telling them everything that really happened and how it was planned well before they even got to Bali. Weeks before, Tommy said that Heather had reached out to him and asked if he knew someone that could kill her mother for $50,000 cash. And he tells her no. Not long after this, he receives a text from Heather stating that she was just going to do it herself, and that she was either going to smother Sheila in her sleep or she was going to stage a drowning. And all of this was easily confirmed by their text thread, because sis was texting all of this. After they did what they did to Sheila, Heather actually texted Tommy's phone and said, "You just gained $11 million. To which he responds, "$11 million feels like a dream when you said that. Too good to be true, LOL." And it actually was too good to be true, because it was nowhere near $11 million that she would inherit. Her family fortune was a little over $1.5 million. Child, just a fraction of that. They also pulled the surveillance footage from where Heather and Sheila were staying, which shows Tommy entering her room and then the two of them leaving with the blood smeared suitcase together. So it's like, girl, we already got you on tape. You might as well just tell us what really happened. Make it easier on yourself. At this point, she says, "Okay, I'm going to tell you the truth." Now, whose truth it is, I don't know, but this is the version of events that she told happened. In the hotel room, she had told Sheila that she was pregnant, and from there, Sheila flies into a rage. She is pissed off. She accused her mother of being upset that she was having a baby with a black man. And it's like, girl, how is that when she had you by a black man? Like, I just want to know, how does that make sense? But according to her, her mother was so irate that she went into the kitchen. She grabbed a knife. She came back yielding it at her, pointing it at her like she was going to cut her. And she feared for her own life, but not just her life, the life of her unborn baby. At this point, she goes and locks herself in the bathroom. She is terrified. Instead of calling the police, because 911 I'm sure works over in Bali, she calls Tommy and tells him to come over, help her, or at least come get her. She's so afraid. Tommy arrives right away, and as soon as he enters the room, she then turns her wrath and fury toward him, pointing the knife at him. But Tommy was strong, so he fights her back, and then all of a sudden, he grabs the fruit bowl and hits her over the head. But once he hits her, he does not stop. He continues to do so until she stops breathing. When she realizes her mother is no longer breathing, she begins to panic. She said that she never wanted anything to escalate to this point, and despite their issues, she loves her mother. Tommy insisted that everything was going to be okay. They just had to get out of there and flee as soon as possible while they still have the chance. Heather is distraught. She is telling him how she just can't leave her mother there in the hotel room. She's down on the floor. She's holding Sheila in her arms and she is sobbing. And she just can't believe that things got this bad. And she just felt horribly. But Tommy is like, look, we cannot waste any time. We have to get rid of her. Tommy presents her with the idea of stuffing Sheila inside of the suitcase so they don't just leave her there. They attempt to stuff her inside of the suitcase, but she will not fit. Therefore, they had to cut her the way that they did in order to make her fit inside. When she is asked to elaborate about her relationship with her mother, she paints a completely different story. And no one in Bali knows their history to confirm whether or not this is true. So all they have is her word. And according to her, she and Sheila had some problems. They did struggle to get along, but it was because Sheila never wanted her, not even from birth. That Sheila was always really jealous of her relationship with her father. She felt like Heather was trying to take her husband from her because she was, so close to her father and she was a daddy's girl. And Sheila felt threatened by this dynamic between the two of them. When her dad would go off on the road, leaving the two of them at home alone, Sheila would take this as an opportunity to mistreat her. She said she would physically hit her and just was so horrible. And when her dad would return, she would tell her father and they would fight Sheila together. Girl, what? According to Heather, when her father died, this only became worse because she no longer had somebody to be in her corner or stand up for her. She was just left alone with her mother, who treated her horribly. Despite how horrific the actions were, hearing her side of the story and only having that to go by, Bali authorities really sympathized with her. Like, her version of events, her childhood, it really softened their hearts. But in the eyes of the public, Heather was just a monstrous teen who mercilessly took her mother's life. They go to court, and not only do they have emails proving that Sheila knew about her pregnancy well before the trip, because she had talked about it via email with one of her friends weeks before Bali. They have also discovered text messages that brings a third party into the mix. There are text messages in Tommy's phone between him and his cousin Robert, joking about the whole thing. They discuss in detail the plan of killing Sheila well before it happened. The cousin Robert is encouraging Tommy to help Heather with this and actually coaching his cousin on what to do before and after the fact. He discussed several ways that they could do it and make it look like an accident. They could stage an overdose. They can also suffocate her while she's sleeping and make that look like an accident. Like, it was horrible. On the day of the attack, Robert, Tommy, and Heather were in a group message on Facebook talking about it. And Robert wanted updates. He wanted to know what was going on beforehand, and he wanted an update after it was done and details about everything they had done. Now, at first, they attempt to stage the overdose. They do so by trying to drug her, but this is not successful. When Heather tells Robert that they were not successful in doing that, he replies, "Just go sit on her face with a pillow." He then tells them to go to plan B and just be careful of any security cameras that may be surrounding the premises. After the attack, Tommy immediately checks back in with Robert and tells them that it was done, and for whatever reason, he didn't even feel bad. And Robert tells him, "You didn't feel bad because she was not a good person. And so there wasn't any positive energy released from her body when you took her life." And what's crazy is Robert had actually never even met Sheila to say this. Like, he never met this woman a day in his life. All he knew about her was what Heather had told him about her. After Robert gets this confirmation from Tommy, he texts his girlfriend, "Babe, we're gonna be rich." Robert is charged as a co-conspirator and taken to court right there in Chicago. And in court, he apologizes for his role. He says that he was drinking heavily during this time, that he was depressed, and he was a lost man. He claims he never expected them to do something so horrific. The fact that you're just like, I didn't think that they would do it like that. Like, they killed her. You encouraged them to do so. Does it matter how, though? Like, what? Ultimately, Sis is handed down 9 years in prison. Heather and Tommy, their trials are held over in Bali. She is sentenced to a mere 10 years in prison, and Tommy is given 18. One thing that she did not lie about was the fact that she was pregnant. She was, in fact, in the early stages of a pregnancy and gives birth to a daughter whom she names Stella, and actually births right there in jail and is allowed to keep the kid in jail with her and raise her in prison. And apparently that's a thing, because I saw something on TV the other day that was like centered around mothers being allowed to keep their kid in prison. She raises Stella right there in a cell that she shared with 21 other women. She is allowed to keep her daughter there until she is 2 years old. I know Stella was like, "Girl, now why am I in here? I was not involved in any of the things, okay? I was there, but I wasn't." A little after Stella turns 2, Heather is forced to give her up, and she is sent to live with a local woman who volunteered to take care of her and also continue to bring her to see her mother in jail so they can keep their relationship. They arranged for Stella to have weekly visits at the prison. Now, Tommy is actually serving out his 18 years in a prison that is right next door to Heather's. He is also allowed to see his daughter, but not as often. He's only allowed to see her once a month versus once a week. Now, prison life appeared to be pretty lit for Heather. Better than I've ever seen. I always had in my mind the image of being locked up abroad, probably from the show that I watched called Locked Up Abroad, that it was just like really bad, like horrible conditions. Granted, I don't imagine our prisons over here in the US being great either. A video is released of Heather partying, dancing in her cell, smoking cigarettes with her homegirls, one of which being Lindsay Sandiford, who is locked up awaiting execution by firing squad for trying to smuggle $2 million worth of coke into Bali. It says firing squad. How can you dance at a time like that? If I was sitting somewhere awaiting execution by firing squad, girl, I would be stressed. I would be in a corner somewhere smoking a cigarette, rocking like Miss Sophia from The Color Purple. Like, that would be me. Heather says that she is actually happy over in Bali and she has no plans to return to the US after her release, which is fine, sis. We don't want you. She says that Bali is now her home. The people there are nicer and it is overall better and safer than it is in the US. This is coming from a violent murderer, so that's quite laughable. She also says that being locked up abroad, it really sounds horrendous and it's really cramped, but that's like the full extent of it because the people inside, they really look after each other. It's like a family, you know, jail style. No one goes hungry. They have a great sense of like sisterhood. Basically, the Bali prison for women is lit, in the words of Heather. She's made a lot of lifelong friends over in prison. She said that the women there really looked out for her during her pregnancy. They gave her a lot of tips. They coached her through delivery. They helped look after her and care for her, and they still do that now. I don't know how they're looking after her from the prison cell. Maybe they're gifting her little dolls made of prison shanks. I don't know, but they're like her jailhouse aunties. The woman that's caring for Stella on the outside, she actually met in the prison. You know what? On second thought, I bet you nobody is giving Stella problems on the playground, child. They probably scared. Now fast forward to 2017, sis made her a whole YouTube channel. She got like almost 2,000 subscribers now. Am I tripping or does she now look like Keely Williams from 3LW? I don't know. I be feeling like everybody look like somebody, child. Don't mind me. In 3 very bizarre videos that I will link down below for y'all to watch if you want to, she rambles on about how the truth will set you free, and she feels like now she believes in the importance of being honest about everything, how she's tired of living this lie, and says she is now ready to tell the real truth about how this all went down. Now, according to her, in these videos, she says that her mother killed her father over in Greece and that she had only found this out 2 weeks prior to them going to Bali, and she was upset because, of course, you know, she was super close to her father. She doesn't say how she found this out, but she decided at that point that her mother had to go. And so she goes to Tommy and asks for his help. And he tells her, no, I'm not helping. Having just learned what Sheila had done to her father, when Sheila mentions the trip to Bali, she is all for it because she feels like this is a perfect opportunity. Taking her mother's life in a hotel room over in Bali would be the perfect way to avenge her father's death because, of course, she claims that his life was taken on a vacation in a hotel room. She also says that in the days prior to them leaving for Bali, she began taking Tommy's phone while he was asleep, sending text messages to his phone and responding from his phone to make it appear that they were having a conversation, and that he truly, honestly never participated in any of the text messages for real. So it's got to be a whole narcissist to just believe that anybody will believe this. And that's just thinking we stupid. She said that Tommy never actively participated in the planning. He didn't know anything. She actually had invited him, pretending that they were about to have a nice getaway or a nice vacation, and he knew nothing about what she was planning to do. In reality, she had invited him to Bali because she knew that it was a good chance she would be arrested. And in the event that she is, she don't want to be locked up abroad in a foreign country all by herself. Since y'all, a male and a female, they were going to take her out to 2 different prisons anyway, but okay. She said she wanted company. So basically everybody showed up to Bali thinking that it was going to be a good time and not knowing what was going to happen except for her. And she says that she doesn't even regret what she did to her mother. She says the only regret that she has is involving Tommy and having him locked up for nothing. She said that she realizes it may sound evil, but it's her truth. It's her reality. And she does not regret what she did to her mother and compares it to the lack of regret she would have for somebody killing her daughter. She was like, if somebody killed my child and I killed them, I wouldn't feel bad.
I don't regret killing my mother. And as evil as that may sound, that's my reality. If somebody killed Stella, I wouldn't regret killing them either.
That's not the same, my girl. Like, what are you talking about? She speaks about it so cold and callously in the video. She continues to express regret for involving Tommy and like ruining his life. She apologizes to him. She says that it was actually her that had committed the act by herself. She had killed Sheila all on her own and then invited Tommy over. He walked in and he is completely blindsided. And then she threatens him that if he does not help her clean up and get rid of Sheila, she will call the police and tell them that he did this all by himself and that she had enough money to make sure that he goes down for this all alone. And at that point, he had no choice but to help her. Also, in these videos, she claims that when it came to court and like her defense, her lawyers knew this was the true version of events. But if she was found to be the one who had committed the murder, she would no longer be able to receive the inheritance from her mother. And if that happened, she would be broke, Tommy would be broke, and their legal teams would not be paid. And they go and tell Tommy, they pretty much just lie to him, tell him that if he did not admit guilt, that they were going to find him guilty anyway, and that at that point he would get the death penalty. So out of fear alone, he pleads guilty. And in reality, the only thing that he was guilty of is helping her dispose of the body. Now this is what she claims is the truth in this video down at the bottom. Sis looks about 36 cards short of a full deck. I'm going to just say that. In those videos, if you look at them, she look a little off. Like sis seems, I don't know. Girl, the hamster's alive in the wheel, but he ain't running. She also makes reference to like the cousin and his involvement. With that, she's just like, I think they were just trying to sensationalize the case and they just made all of that up. Girl, but there were text messages that prove that that was the truth, and that proves that what you just said, girl, was a lie too. Like y'all literally text a play-by-play of the whole thing. The only thing that I'm inclined to believe is the fact that she was the hand that dealt the blows to Sheila. That's it. Like Tommy definitely knew it was going to happen. He was there to help. So sis is right where he belongs. Now, of course, because she received such a short sentence, she is set to be released in just 4 more years. Now, as for the money, she was set to receive the $1.56 million on her 30th birthday, which would have been 1 year after her release, right? After she made her first attempt to secure her mother's estate in 2015, right after they were charged, Sheila's brother decided, no, I'm not going to sit back and allow you to take this money. He fought tooth and nail. Now, he was okay with Stella receiving the money, but he said he'd be damned if it goes to his niece. He was granted trustee over Sheila's estate, and he uses nearly a third of the money fighting Heather in court to keep her from being able to get this money. Now, although he wishes that more of it could have been salvaged for little baby Stella, he is happy that he was able to win and that the money will in fact go to Stella and none of it can go to Heather. But Stella might still buy her something. I hope whatever she buy her mama, it breaks, child. I hope she get a whole new pair of teeth and they just crumble right out of her head. Like, and that's no shade to Stella, but I feel like that's too close. I don't know. I just think Stella shouldn't even get it at this point. I don't know who should, but I just feel like if Stella gets it, it's still too close to Heather. Moral of the story is, if you want to commit a crime, just go to Bali and do it, because prison is lit for the ladies. Look at sis over there. It's like Jailhouse Coachella. She having a whole talent show. Sis has MAC on her lips, shades and curls. Sis beside her has on a Gucci hat. She must be the one that was smuggling that cocaine. Heather and Tommy, they still have a relationship, just co-parenting. But Tommy said he feel like Sheila's a little cuckoo, and that he believes that if she is released, she will in fact kill again, because she doesn't even see what's wrong with what she did in the first place. I think that's pretty obvious that she will. So Bali people, watch out. Somebody shall want to come back here. Girl, we don't want you anyway. I don't even think they want you over in Bali, girl. Well, my lovely people, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you liked the look. Don't forget to give this video a like before you leave. Comment your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think. Share this video with a friend. If you have not subscribed, girl, do that. I hear YouTube been playing with y'all subscriptions too, so you might want to double check and make sure you still subscribe if you thought you were. As always, I appreciate you so much for spending your time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace. Today's video is going to be about one of these instances where even after this, Heather is just Sheila went off. Sheila, who is that and what is a Sheila? Sheila what? Sheila. I said it again. For Hella. Okay. Ugh. Who is Hella? There's no hella in this story. $12,000 that she charged. And then the two of them leaving with the blood smeared shoecase. Once he hits her once, that's too many onces, poo. Leaving the two of them at home on the road. What? Robert is taking Sis is very much giving broken promises. I'm getting sick and tired of your broken promises. Now, of course, because she received such a short sentence, she is set to believe. Now, as for the money, she was set to believe. Ugh. Video. I hope you like the look. Don't forgive.